33 men sat down at a table, wrote down what they truly thought about a huge matter, and signed. Then they never spoke about it again. They were cardinals, archbishops, bishops, and professors, some of the best-known names in the church of those years. None of them ever publicly revealed what they had written on that sheet of paper. The papers ended up in the Holy See archives and remained there. Those who had read them couldn't talk about them. Those who spoke about them hadn't read them. Those papers were released last week, and the account they contain changes the way we view one of the most controversial issues of the last 40 years. On August 6th, journalist David Medjugorje, a Vatican expert and pontifical academic, published on his blog the overall results of a confidential consultation by the Holy See that had remained secret for 10 years. The subject of the consultation was Medjugorje, the town in Herzegovina where since June 1981, 6 young people have claimed to see the Mother of God, and where the flow of pilgrims has never stopped. 33 opinions were collected. 21 affirmed that the phenomenon was not supernatural in origin. 9 affirmed the opposite, and 3 remained silent. Medjugorje confirmed the authenticity of the document and explained that it came from an authoritative source. For now, he has chosen not to include the names of the individual votes. That number, 33, must be followed closely to the end, because it's not the first count in the story, but it's the first one no one has ever seen. It all began in 2010. Benedict XVI established an international commission to study the phenomenon and appointed Cardinal Ruini as its president. The assignment was undertaken within a very specific framework. The commission was not created as an independent body reporting directly to the Pope. It was established within the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith and under its authority. The Holy See's statement stated it in detail. The commission would work confidentially and would submit the results of its study to the competent authorities of the dicastery. At the time, it seemed like a procedural clarification, the kind no one ever reads thoroughly. It's the detail around which the whole story revolves. The commission concluded its work in 2014 and submitted its report. The first count in history appears here, and it is double. Regarding the first 7 apparitions, those between June 24th and July 3rd, 1981, 13 members expressed their support for a supernatural origin. 1 expressed his opposition, while another remained undecided. The picture changes completely regarding subsequent events. 12 members vote nondum decanendum, meaning not yet decided. 2 express the opposite opinion. 13-1 on one side, 12-2 on the other. These are the numbers that for years have fueled the idea of a Vatican essentially open to the case, and which are still circulating today. But the Ruini report wasn't the end of the road. It was the material the congregation still had to work on, precisely according to the plan with which the commission was born. Pope Francis raises the issue at the Feria Quarter. This is the ordinary session in which cardinals, bishops, scholars, and expert members of the dicastery gather to discuss and deliberate on the matters on the agenda. Participants receive not only the report, along with Ruini's text, a document critical of his conclusions, and a subsequent counter-reply are also placed on the table. Each person is asked to provide a written, reasoned opinion, item by item. The formulas to choose from are the 3 classic ones used by the Church in this matter. Constat de supernaturalitate. The supernatural origin is evident. Constat de non-supernaturalitate. It is evident that it is not supernatural. Non constat de supernaturalitate. There is not yet sufficient evidence to say so. So how do we go on the same exact phenomenon and in the space of 2 years from 13 favorable opinions out of 15 to 21 against out of 33? The first part of the answer lies with the writer. The Commission's opinions were 15 on the first block and 14 on the second, while the Ministry's opinions are 33, and they are not the same people. The second part lies in what they had before them. The Commission had studied the phenomenon, and the Ministry had before it the Commission's study, along with the objections and the response. The opinions reached the Holy See on September 17, 2016. Medjugorje notes that on that day, the liturgical calendar commemorates Hildegard of Bingen, a mystic and visionary proclaimed a doctor of the Church. The tally was this: 21 against, 9 in favor, and 3 undecided. Nearly 2/3 of the opinions expressed were against recognizing supernatural origins. Along with the numbers, Medjugorje published the list of 33 participants, along with the positions each held at the time. He chose not to include their respective votes next to each name. Prefect Müller and Secretary Ladaria are there, Schönborn, Scola, Coco Palmerio, Koch, Ouellet, Filoni, Amato, Sepe, Will, Canizares Llovera, Turkson, Ricard, Blasquez, Onayekan, Grocholewski, and Alencherry are there. Fisichella, Shikluna, Dinoya, and Minarath are there. The archbishops of Sarajevo and Zagreb, Puljic and Bozanic are there, the 2 pastors of the territory under discussion. And there's Ruini himself, who chaired that commission. With him are other former members of the commission: Herans, Tomko, Jaeger, Kias, Perella, Anatrella, Schutz, and Smutilovic. That 2016 document didn't produce any public document. The case wasn't closed negatively, nor was it closed positively either. On May 17, 2024, the dicastery promulgated new norms for proceeding with the discernment of alleged supernatural phenomena. They changed the very structure of the matter. With these norms, the pastoral discernment of a phenomenon no longer necessarily has to conclude with a declaration of its origin. The judgment on its origin and the evaluation of its fruits are separated. In September 2024, the note entitled "The Queen of Peace" arrived. It granted the nihil obstat to devotion to Medjugorje without taking a position on the supernatural authenticity of the apparitions. This is the official verdict, and it's the one everyone knows. The document released last week shows that another one had been written alongside it, but never made public. The votes, however, are not judgments. They are reasoned opinions delivered by the members of the dicastery, and the Pope is not bound to follow them. Medjugorje himself, who published the document, clarifies this. On the merits, the journalist adds a specific reasoning. If the Pope hadn't been convinced of the authenticity of the phenomenon, he might have veered toward a judgment of inauthenticity. He didn't. Medjugorje also observes that on a matter of that importance, it can hardly be argued that only a compromise solution was sought. The same journalist who published the 21 opposing opinions writes that he continues to believe that what is happening in Medjugorje could represent an authentic sign of the mystery. On the other side, there are those who interpret those 21 opinions as the judgment of the competent body, formulated in writing and left without follow-up. The document allows both interpretations and excludes neither. Medjugorje writes that the Church risked a profound rift over this issue. On one side, there were those who called for a decisive intervention. On the other, there were those who believed that at least the beginning deserved a different assessment. One element remains open, and it's the most concrete of all. The names next to the individual votes have not yet been published, and there are 33 names that everyone knows. Medjugorje wrote that he will publish them without omissions because he promised it to a person very dear to him who recently passed away. When that list is released, we'll know exactly who wrote what. What do you think? If you liked the video, comment Amen. God bless you.